Very good evening. Thank you for joining into this edition of Coffee with Vythee. So today we will be looking at a very interesting topic which was requested in a couple of other communities that I'm hosting. So today we are going to be
Okay,
looking.
down.
Yes, good evening. So today we will be looking at Microsoft Word in specific. So we will be looking at addressing a few questions at the beginning. These questions were asked of me over the last 1 or 2 months because there were a lot of questions around the advantages of using Microsoft Office, uh, using Microsoft Word, the regular version of Microsoft Word versus using Office 365, and how Office 365, Word 365 compares with Google Docs. So we are going to be looking at all those aspects as the first part of today's program, and then we will look at Microsoft Word in specific. I will be using the Office 365 version of Microsoft Word, and I will be showing you some interesting techniques that you can use in Microsoft Word to make your workflow much better and much easier. So let's start right away. Let me begin by sharing my screen. So we have got a small presentation that we'll go through, and after that we will start with looking at the application itself. Okay. So working with Word. So one of the first questions that comes to me is, why should we use Microsoft Word, and why Microsoft, and what's the difference between Microsoft Word, the regular Microsoft Word, and the Office 365 version of Microsoft Word? See, when you compare the two of them, nearly 85 to 90% of the features are identical between the regular Office Word, that is if you look at Microsoft Office 2016, 2019, 2021 versus Office 365 version. The advantage of using Office 365 is the Office 365 version gets a lot of updates constantly, so it is much more robust, and you have certain features that are available in Office 365 which are not available in uh, Office 2016, 2019, or 2021. I mean, these are not game changers, but still, if you want that extra edge to make your presentations, to make your Word documents look really slick, you might want to go with Office 365. So, why Office 365 in today's scenario? So, when you look at Microsoft Office 365, as of end of last year, this end of 2021, Office 365 has around 258 million plus users, and nearly 70% of all Fortune 500 companies are using Office 365. So if you have an opportunity to work for a Fortune 500 company, or a company which is uh, of a very high brand value or a brand presence, it's most likely that they will be using Office 365. So if you are familiar with Microsoft Office and Microsoft Word 365, you will be able to work with them in a much more seamless manner. And of course, like I said, it has updates coming in constantly. All these updates happen in the background, so you don't have to actually go and make any updates. So all these updates will automatically happen in the background, and whenever you are opening your version of Word 365, you will know that you are using the latest version. So now the next question is, how does it compare to Google Docs? So these are some of the parameters that I thought I can probably use to compare MS Word and Google Docs. So the first one is obviously cost. So as you know, Microsoft Word is paid, whereas Google Docs is free. So obviously, Google Docs definitely stands a winner over here, because any version of Microsoft, whether it is the offline version like 2016, 2019, or 21, or the Office 365 subscription, all of them are paid, whereas Google Docs is free. When you come to the user interface of Microsoft Word, and when you compare it with Google Docs, I personally like the user interface of Microsoft Word, because if you look at Microsoft Word, they have this ribbon interface where when you go into a particular tab, all of the functions are visible to you upfront. Whereas if you look at Google Docs, you will have to, they still use the traditional menu system where you'll have to go into the individual menu and they will have sub menu items. So you'll have to go and search for things over there. Whereas in Microsoft Word, everything is upfront, and they also use a lot of icons. So it's also visually much more appealing and much more easy to use once you get a hang of it. So from a user interface perspective, Microsoft Word is definitely a better option. When it comes to collaboration, Microsoft Office as a standalone doesn't have collaborative features. You will have to use it along with SharePoint or with Microsoft Teams only. Then you will be able to collaborate effectively. I'm talking about live collaboration. Whereas if you look at Google Docs, you can live collaborate anytime, anywhere with anyone, irrespective of the person's operating system or whatever they are using, whatever software they are using. They will still be able. All they need is a browser, so they just have to open their browser and you can live collaborate with them. So from a collaboration standpoint, I personally feel Google Docs has an upper hand over Microsoft Word. But when it comes to offline capability, Microsoft Word is straight up the winner, because Google Docs is a cloud based application, so you will definitely need internet to use Google Docs, whereas that is not necessarily the case for Microsoft Word. So especially when you are in a situation where you are going to be traveling and you don't have access to a stable internet connection, then Google Docs might be an issue. Whereas if it is Microsoft Word, you can still go ahead and use the offline version of the tool and you will still be able to work on your documents. From a mobile usage standpoint, I would personally give both software equal score, because both applications have a mobile version. They are equally robust. Both versions are not as good as their desktop counterparts, but from a mobile standpoint, whatever can be done, I personally feel Microsoft Word and Google Docs are more or less the same in terms of usability. So they get equal scores. When it comes to features and functionality, I would definitely give it to Microsoft Word, because it is much more robust. It has a lot more features. It has a lot of templates that you can play with. It has a lot of options. It has a lot more shortcuts than Google Docs. The basic shortcuts are more or less the same between Google Docs and Microsoft Word, but there are some additional things that you can do with Microsoft Word that is not really possible with Google Docs. And when it comes to file sharing, I will give equal points to both, because it is still possible. With Microsoft Word, if you are using the older version of Microsoft Word, unfortunately, you will have to rely on mail. But if you are using Office 365, if you have a subscription to Office 365, you can use OneDrive or you can use their SharePoint and share files. Google Docs, of course, since it's a cloud-based application, sharing is very, very straightforward. So this is how Microsoft Word and Google Docs compare. So you might be asking yourself, what is the right tool for you? So if you are a person who just wants a free word processor, you just want to do some basic document creation, you want to create letters, some basic documents with text, and you are a person who wants to collaborate with a group of people on written projects, and if you are a person who actually relies a lot on cloud, I mean, if you are a person who travels a lot, who doesn't really carry your hard disks or files along with you, you just go to whichever place you want, just open a random computer and have access to your files and work. If you are that kind of a person, Google Docs is definitely more than enough for you. It will serve your purpose. But if you are a person who wants a lot of functionality, really want a very powerful word processing tool, you want access to a lot of templates, and you want your tool to be really have better security and a tool that works offline, then Microsoft Word might be a better option for you. So this is how Microsoft Office Word 365 compares with Google Docs. So before I go into the next aspect of the deep dive into Microsoft Word, I would like to open the floor to any questions that you might have.
Namaskar, Indrajit speaking, sir.
Yes, sir. Tell me, sir.
How are you, sir? Everything is fine.
Yes, yes, sir. I'm good, sir.
Great. Yes, sir. I have a question.
Yes, please.
Say, if it comes to projects report making,
Mm-hmm.
how do you find Office 65 looks to be? Because some of the things like bar chart, we make it. Say,
Mm-hmm.
when we work on a project, when we do it, how it's going to be useful? Because that area, no, I have a doubt on this actually. Because I worked with MS Word actually sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that was, I feel like, it's like an Excel sheet. We start working it. Maybe we can make the project from green to the finish, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I am not very clear with Office 365 because I installed almost about 4 months back. When you advised, I purchased Office 65. I installed
Mm-hmm.
it.
Okay.
So I do not know how to use it. Maybe during this session, if you could explain, it will be grateful. Thank you.
You would like to know how to create charts, right?
Project, bar chart. Say, suppose I have a project, green project. I
Mm-hmm.
start working on the project. Always I make a bar chart like that. Say,
Okay.
sometime no, yes, with the calendar, it will be linked. Basically, project reports,
Okay.
project progress report.
Okay. So you want to link multiple documents, or are you talking about just creating a simple bar chart with the data that you have?
Okay. One is the simple bar chart. Second one is the project progress report. Say, basically, I make the calendar. Always the holidays will come. Even some employee
Okay.
goes on leave, that will come like
Okay.
that.
So okay. I understand. I understand. For those kind of things, I would personally recommend you use Microsoft Project. MS Project is a much better tool to use, because if you want to create those kind of things, you can still do it in MS Excel. Word is not really an ideal tool for that. You can do it in Excel, but again, there are a lot of formulas that you need to create. Whereas if you use MS Project, it's much more straightforward. You can just define everything up front, and it will lay it all out for you. You don't have to worry about anything. It will calculate weekends, whether you are on a 5 day week or a 6 day week, your holidays, everything will be factored in, and you will just have to input the effort hours and things like that. It will automatically create your Gantt charts and everything it will do for you.
Okay.
So if you are
Okay.
looking for a simple bar chart with
Simple bar
data,
chart.
that you can do it in Word. But if you want a project plan kind of a thing, I would advise you use MS Project.
That's project. Okay.
Yes.
Understood, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions in this comparison? Okay. So before we actually go into the next part, I thought I can show you how Google Docs looks like versus Microsoft Word, just the user interface. I'm sure most of you would have used Google Docs, but I just want to show you to give you a look and feel of how it looks like. So for that, you just go to docs.google.com. So I think it's opening some document. 1 second. Yeah. So I just click this plus icon over here. It will create a new document. Yeah. So this is how a Google Docs will typically look like. Oh, I think I'm not sharing my screen. Sorry. 1 second. Sorry. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Just realize that. Okay. So this is how Google Docs will look like. So it has your traditional menus where you'll have to go in and create things like this. So everything is inside menu. The basic tools are available as icons over here, but beyond that, if you want anything else, you'll have to go into the menus. Whereas if you look at Microsoft Word, I'm just opening this one. So this has a much more visual kind of an approach where you just have to scroll between this, and you will have a lot of options available, and it's very very visual. You have icon based representation, and it has a lot more features as well. So I think that's one of the reasons why I personally prefer Microsoft Office over Google Docs. But I do have some clients who use Google Docs with me, and I go ahead and use Google Docs for them as well. And like I was telling you, Microsoft Office as such is a very very robust and a very very powerful tool. For example, for people who follow me on my YouTube channel or follow me on Instagram, would have seen a short reel that I put for my consulting firm. So if you look at this particular one, let me just close this. Yeah. So you would have definitely seen this particular reel that I had put up. So this particular reel I had created using PowerPoint. I didn't use any animation software or anything like that. I used straight up PowerPoint. This is the PPT file. This is the source file that I used. So Microsoft Office is a very very powerful tool. I mean, if you really know how to use it, you can really do a lot of things with Microsoft Office. So of course today we will be looking more of Word rather than PowerPoint. But I just want to demonstrate to you how powerful a tool Microsoft Office is. So we will go into Word. So any questions before I go into the techniques for today? Are there any other questions on the comparison between Google Docs and Microsoft Word?
What is your recommendation, sir?
See, my personal choice is Microsoft Office. Simply because it has a lot more features, it has a lot of updates that constantly come in, and it's much more easier and user friendly for me. And especially for someone like me who travels a lot, I usually prefer to have some of my documents offline, and some of the documents that I produce for my clients are also like very very, I mean, it's very sensitive from a security standpoint. So I don't prefer keeping all my documents on cloud. Some documents I would want to keep it offline and restrict it only to my client server. So in my use case, because of all of this, my personal preference is Microsoft Word. I of course have a paid version of Microsoft Office 365. I have a subscription with them. So it entirely depends on your use case. My personal choice is Microsoft Word for these reasons.
Great, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, most welcome. Okay, so if there are no more questions, we will get into Microsoft Word. So I will be showing you about 8 or 9 interesting techniques that you can use in Microsoft Word to make your life a little more easier. So in order to start, so I have opened a blank document now. I just need to put some text in here. So Microsoft Office has this interesting feature where it will help you generate random text. Right. So for example, so where do you use this? So let's say that you want to create a document and you're not really sure which font to use, or so let's say you want to know how many words it takes to fill a particular A4 sheet. Just if you want things to know, or if you just want to visually have a feel for how exactly it looks like. So rather than searching for some text that you want to put in, you can quickly generate random text in Office. So in order to do that, there's a quick formula that you can use. So you just have to type equal to RAND and open and close parenthesis, press enter. It will just generate some random text for you. Again, You also have the option of inserting dummy text that we see in Latin. I mean, you would have seen in a lot of templates where it says lorem ipsum dolor, that dummy text. So if you want that text to be generated, all you'll have to do is equal to lorem, open and close brackets, that text will be generated. So again here you also have another option where you can specify the length of the random text that is being generated. For example, if you look at this, I think it has generated some 4 paragraphs, and this is in random. So let's say I remove all of this and I say I want random text, right? And I want about say 8 paragraphs, and each paragraph should have 6 sentences. So in order to do that, I just type equal to rand, open parenthesis, type 8 comma 6. So 8, when I say rand parenthesis 8 comma 6, it is going to produce random text which is going to be 8 paragraphs long, and each paragraph will have 6 sentences. So I close parenthesis, press enter, and this comes up. So it just produces some random text over here, and you get to know, okay, so this is how my text is going to look like on the screen. There are 755 words. So you just get a general idea of how it looks like on page. So you can adjust the top border, whatever you want to do, you can do over here, so that you can do some sort of a formatting or some kind of an alignment for your document. So this is a small technique that you can use to produce random text on your document, so that you are able to set things up. I mean, if you are not happy with this font, you can try another font. Let's say you want Times New Roman. You can see how Times New Roman looks like on this page. You can probably add paragraphs, see how that looks like. So you can toy around a little bit like this. You can fix whatever style that you want before you actually start creating your document. And then, so because one of the things that typically happens is when you start creating a document, when you start typing it, unless the format has been preset for you, we typically start typing and we think, is this font okay, is this font size okay? So when you start thinking like this, you start getting distracted from whatever you are typing. When you have everything preset, it typically helps so that you can concentrate on whatever you are typing, and to just make sure that you've got the right look and feel, this is a small technique that you can use. Okay, so this is one technique. The next technique is again going to be a little bit interesting, and this is actually one of the biggest challenges that we face in Microsoft Word. I think there is some comment. Okay, right. So this is again a big challenge that a lot of Microsoft Word users face: inserting images and aligning images to text. Because one of the most frustrating things that happen is when you put in an image, it either overlaps the text, or it slides into the next page, or it doesn't really align with the text, or probably you want an image to sit in, make it sit in a particular place in your Word document, and it just refuses to sit over there. So how do we make sure that this process is very seamless? So we are going to be looking at that right now. It's a very interesting way in which to do. It's a very simple method. So I will show you how to do. So we will use the same document. So I'm going to create some space over here, and I'm going to insert an image. So for that, I go to the insert tab. I go to pictures. So if you have a picture which is already there in your hard drive that you want to use, you can select this picture from file option. If you are going to be using stock images, which are available as part of Microsoft Office library, you can just click stock images. So I'm just going to use the stock image. So let's say I pick this image. So it's inserting the image. Okay, so I'm going to make this a little smaller so that it's a bit more manageable. So when you have an image like this, right, and you want to put it in a particular area, you will have to use this function. One second, sorry. So when you double click the image, you get an option called picture format, right? So here you have positioning. So if you, whether you want to wrap it within the text like this, so let's say I want this approach. When I select this, the text automatically goes over there, and I can move this image to whichever position I want. It will stick to that particular point. And then you have this wrap text option. This is very, very interesting, and this is what is going to make your image placement absolutely flexible. So right now I have set it as a square. Now when I set it as through, one second, yeah. So I'm going to set this as through. So it will go through the text to whichever position you want it to go, and you can also adjust the position. Let's say you want it behind the text. The image will go behind the text. It will float freely behind the text. It will not affect your text at all. It will just float freely. And if you say in front of the text, it will come sit on top of it. But if you want to make way for the text, you just have to wrap it like this, and the text will flow around your image. So let's say that you want more space around your image. So in order to do that, you'll have to go here and say edit wrap boundary. So I can increase this gap. I say I want more white space around my image. So I can increase this gap like this. So the text will automatically move and create the kind of gap that I want. So this is a very, very flexible technique that you can use. If you know how to use this technique, it's very, very easy to position images, place it wherever you want. The image will just go and sit there. You will not have to use the enter key, adjust your text, text flowing into the next one, image overlapping. All of that can be avoided if you know how to use this wrap text feature in Microsoft Word. Okay, so this is one technique which I'm sure will be very useful for you. The next technique that I want to show you is actually more than a technique. It's a feature in Word. It's a very, very powerful feature where you will be able to edit text from scanned PDF documents. So let's say someone has sent a PDF document to you. You typically won't be able to make any edits to it unless you have a pro version of Acrobat, which is again a paid version. You will not be able to edit it, or certain places you will not be able to extract the text, because if it is a scanned image, you will not be able to select the text within it. So you can use Microsoft Word to make that happen for you. So in order to do that, all you'll have to do is just go to file, or well, if you have a PDF over here, I think I've got a sample PDF. Let me show you. Yeah. So I've got a scanned news release over here. So if you're using Microsoft Office, all you'll have to do is right click this PDF, just hit open with Microsoft Word. It will automatically recognize the text, and you'll be able to select, you'll be able to edit, copy, paste, do anything you want with this. Of course, there will be certain elements which will not be exactly aligned. For example, here this particular one has not been properly recognized by Word. There will be one or two instances like this, but those instances you can just correct. So say for immediate release, and you can just remove this. Okay, so things like this. So there will be small errors here and there that you might have to fix, but or a large part, whatever has been scanned, so this particular thing is still retained as an image, so we'll have to look at that. But otherwise, you will be able to copy text, you will be able to take this text from one document and put it in another document. You'll be able to do all of that. Okay, So this is another interesting feature of Microsoft Word. So if you have a scanned document and you want to copy text from it, your good old Microsoft Word can make that happen for you. The next interesting tool aspect that I want to talk to you about in Microsoft Word is the inbuilt translator tool that is available. Before I go in and show you how the translator works, just a small disclaimer. It is not the best translator that is available, but you will get something that is more or less close to where you want to go. So if you are translating simple sentences, this translation feature is very good. But if it is a very complex sentence and you have a lot of uh, components to it, it's not the best tool, but it will sort of give you an idea, a close idea of where you want to go. So in order to do that, you have that option inside the review tab. You have this option called translate over here. So let's say I select a particular piece of text, I hit translate. So it gives you two options. Says whether you want to translate only the selected text or whether you want to translate the entire document. Let's say I just want to translate the selection. So when I do that, this pop-up opens and it will give you a choice of languages that you want to use. So let's say I want to translate it to, okay, so there is German. Okay, let's say German. So it gives you a translation, and when you hover your mouse pointer over the translated text, it will show the equivalent in the English text that is available on top. So this is a very interesting tool, and if you want to replace the English text with the translated text, right, all you have to do is just click this insert button. The English text is gone and the translated text is now sitting here. So it's a very simple process. So if you have completed your translation, if you are happy with whatever the software has given, you just have to click insert, English text goes, the translated text comes. So this is another interesting feature that is available in Word that you can use. So for example, if you are using a document that you want to share with people who are of different nationalities, this is sort of a quick thing that you could probably do to help them out. Right. So let's go to the next feature. So after the next feature, I will give some time for all of you to ask any questions on whatever we have seen so far, and then I will show you the next 4 or 5 features that I have. So the next feature that we are going to be talking about is using formula in Microsoft Word tables. So again, when it comes to formula, it is not as robust as Microsoft Excel, but you can still do a lot of formula, some basic formula application in Microsoft Word. So let's just take an example. Let's say that I'm going to create a small table over here. We'll take a fresh document rather than this. Okay, we'll just go to this document itself. So let's say I'm going to insert a table over here in the, I'm going to the insert tab, table. I'm just adding a 2-column table. It's a very simple table, and I'm going to insert some random numbers over here. Okay. Okay. So I've got some random numbers over here. So in order to enable formula, you will have to go to the layout tab. So when you create a table, you will have this contextual layout tab appearing on the top ribbon. So you just have to select layout, and under layout you have this last button called formula. So you select formula. So what Word automatically does is it sees that you have put in a bunch of numbers in a table. So it will by default ask, do you want to create a sum of all of the above values? If you just say okay, it will give you the sum. Let's say you want to do something else. Let's say instead of sum, I don't want sum, I just have this equal to. So you have these functions that you can use. So let's say I want the average of above. So the average value is calculated. So let's say you want to do a sum of only some of these items, not all, right? So let's say I don't want sum of above. I just say, let's say I want the sum of the second and third rows, right? So the way Word, so for that you will have to identify the cells like how we do in Excel, right? So when it comes to Microsoft Word, it identifies cells like the rows are identified with numbers and the columns are identified with alphabets. So which means that 1321 actually is in cell A1, 321 is in cell A2, right? So let's say I want the sum of A1 and A2. That's it. Sorry, A1 and A2. So it has given me the sum of these two numbers only. So you may have another. So you may have a question. Let's say that I change this number. Will this automatically change? Let's say I make this 31. It will not automatically change because that is the difference between Word and Excel. You'll have to go in here and give the formula once again for it to change. Okay, so this is how formula works. You can do a lot of whatever formula are available, the limited list of formula that is available in Microsoft Word you can use. So it's not like you create a table, you'll have to copy paste it in Excel, use the formula and bring it back. For basic formula calculations you can do it within Word itself. It's not necessary for you to take it externally and bring it in back. So this is another interesting feature that is available in MS Word. So we have talked about 4 or 5 features so far. So any questions on this before we go into the next set?
So basically, when we are reading the ebooks, from
Mhm.
there we want to copy certain content, like some quotes or something.
Mhm.
Can we use the feature possible, sir? Random text
Yes.
ebook.
No. Which features are random text is for generating just random text. If you want to
No, sir.
extract
Actually,
content
sir,
from a PDF,
sorry, sir. Sorry. My question is, say when we are telling PDF, we do copy paste. So when we are reading the ebook, suppose we want some codes to be done. So usually I have the habit of, whenever the email, some good contents are there, we copy and put it in that important message or something like that.
Mhm.
So like that in the book, is it the possibility of copying paste? Sir?
See if the PDF is in editable format. See if the text of the PDF is can be copied. It is just a direct copy paste. The example that I showed you is of a scanned document.
Ah, yes.
If the see normally what happens is for ebooks they are typeset and produced as PDFs. So if you go into that you will be able to copy that text. Whereas
Okay.
if you use a scanner and scan a document, it will be inserted into the PDF as an image. So you won't be able to copy or select any text inside it. So for situations like that, you can use MS Word, import that PDF into it. Microsoft Word will recognize the text inside the image and produce a document containing that
Okay.
text.
Okay, sir. Great.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Sir, another thing, sir, this
Yes.
random, when you shown the example, I'm
Uh-huh.
writing a book actually. Suppose writing a book, we can use this random text and also the translation, sir.
See, random text is only for a visual reference. You can't actually use it in any real context. But if you want to use the translation feature, like I said, if for short and simple sentences, the translation feature is fine. But if it is a full length paragraph and if it is going to be a little complex, this tool is not exactly recommended because they are improving the algorithm, but it is still not there. So the translation might not be so accurate. and at times it might also become politically incorrect, the kind of translation it does. So if it is a full length translation that you want to do, it's better to get professional help. If it is a very small document or a small letter and things like that, you can use a translation feature that should more or less give you a quite an accurate result.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Another thing, sir, what is
Yes.
the font you recommend when we are writing books, sir, for the thing
See,
font?
see, my recommendation is, if you are, see, it depends on where exactly this person is going to be consuming the content from. If it is, whether it is going to be on a screen or whether it is going to be on paper. If it is going to be on paper and if the volume of text is very very large, I would recommend a serif font, any font which has serifs. For example, the font that I've used right now, Times New Roman, is a good font. So a serif is this particular aspect. Let me just close this so that I can show you. So you can see these small lines under P. You can you see these small projections that are there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So these are called serifs.
Correct.
So for long passages and for especially for printing, serif fonts are better. But if it is a shorter piece of document and if it is going to be online, you can use a sans serif font. For example, so here you can see that those hyphens are all gone,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
the reason is, if it is a long piece of paragraph, our eyes pick up those serifs. So it is much more easier for us to consume content if those serifs are there. For shorter pieces, if it is sans serif, it is much more visually pleasing.
Sir,
So
one more
that's
thing, sir. I have seen when the
yes.
books are read by elderly people,
Mm-hmm.
little over 65 or 70 people,
Mm-hmm.
they prefer some kind of a font, sir. Because recently I purchased one book I given to my uncle who is
Okay.
84 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Then he was very happy to read that book. He
Mm-hmm.
was telling, the font is very comfortable to me. So,
Okay.
like that, when we are writing the book for all ages, which kind of font is comfortable, sir,
See,
for
like
reading?
yes, like I said, for reading purpose and for books, these serif fonts are definitely better. If you look at older books, they would have used a font that probably looks like this. So again, these are serif font and the spacing between the letters are slightly more. So for elderly people, it is much more easier for them to read.
Okay, sir. Great.
So,
Sir, what is the font
but
size you recommend for
typical,
books also?
yeah, fonts we usually, I mean, we typically do it only at a manuscript level. So we usually keep the font size at 12. From a
12.
manuscript standpoint, we usually go with Times New Roman font size 12. That's sort of standard today.
Okay, sir.
Yeah,
Nice, sir.
sure.
Nice, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I asked many questions. Thank you, sir.
No, no problem, sir.
Thank you very
Most
much.
welcome. Any other questions from anyone else? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of chats happening. Uh, okay. Without rewarding importing PDF. Okay. Okay, so that's a very good question you have. Unfortunately, Word will not exactly retain those images. If the images are of very high quality, they will, but usually in scanned documents, the image quality is slightly low, so we might end up losing those images. So it's basically for you to extract text. It's not to create a copy of the document, an exact copy of the document on MS Word with all the formatting and images and all that. It's basically for getting the text out of it. Does F9 refresh the formula field too? It should sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't. So it really depends on how Word is acting up on that particular day. We'll try this. Okay, let's say I'm changing this value 121. I'm pressing F9. Oh, it does. Excellent. It does. Good. Okay, so great questions on the chat window. Okay. So, are there any other questions? Okay. So I take that silence as a no, and we will go into the next set of features that we can look. Okay, you mean the text which are scanned as PDF? Yes, text you can definitely extract. You can definitely extract the text, but when it comes to, I mean, if the text is within images, you can extract the text from that within that image. That is definitely possible, but the actual look and feel of that image, those colors and all, will not exactly get translated into your Word document, but the text will be there. You can still extract the text from it. Okay, so we will go into the next feature. So this is another interesting feature where you can convert text into a table. And since we are looking at tables, this is another feature that might interest you. So let's say that you're not very comfortable using tables. You're not very excited about uh, using tables and just typing things like this, moving around and all of that. You can create the text as a body of text and use Word to convert it into a table. Let's say that I'm just typing some random. Let's say that I want column head. Okay, I'll remove the caps lock. And here, to create the different columns, I'm going to, instead of the space bar, I'm using the tab key. So I'm pressing tab. Let's say heading 1, tab, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, and then you press enter. Let's say I want, let's say I'm just putting the months of the year, January, and I just give some random numbers. So when you right now it doesn't look aligned, but it will definitely get aligned. So for separating the objects, I'm using the tab key. So okay, and then I'm pressing enter. February. Okay, let's say I have something like this. So all I'll have to do is select this, go to insert, under table, you have an option called convert text to table. So when you select that, it will automatically show you based on the text that you have selected. It will say that you have 5 columns over here. Yes, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns over here, and number of rows, it says you have 3 rows. So you just hit OK, and it gets converted into a table. So all the alignment and everything it will take care of, and it will get converted into a table. So this is either if you are not comfortable and you want just to type things up and then create it as a table, you can do it this way. Or suppose if you receive content from someone which is like full of text and you want to sort of organize it and convert it into a table, you can go edit that content, just space out the objects using tabs, create the number of lines, and then select all of it, use the same function, it will generate a table for you. So this is another feature that is there in Word. So the features that I'm talking about right now, essentially, or most of these features are available across all versions of Word. So it's not necessary for you to use Office 365. Even the older version of Word will feature these things. Okay. So the next one that I want to talk to you about is inserting screenshots into your Word document. So let me just open a few windows so that I can keep them active. So I'm just opening a bunch of windows. Okay. So I'll tell you why I'm doing this. So let's say I want to insert a screenshot. What we typically do is we go to that particular application, we take a print screen, then we come here, we try to paste. This is what we typically do, right? Or we use tools like Snagit, we put it in a clipboard, come and paste. But in MS Word, you have a feature where you can directly take screenshots of applications. You don't have to do this shift from window to window, hit Control C, Control V. You don't have to do any of that, hitting print screen. None of that is required. So for that, you will have to go into the Insert tab, and here you have an option called Screenshot. So under Screenshot, when you select this down arrow, it will show you a list of all active windows that are there. Let's say I want a screenshot of my browser. I just click this, the screenshot comes in. As simple as that. It's very, very straightforward. You can resize it, do whatever you want with it, but it is just a matter of couple of clicks. You automatically get your screenshot. There's no cropping that you need to do or anything. Whatever window is there, it will make an accurate screenshot of it and bring it in to your Word document. So this is a very quick way of inserting screenshots. So let's say that you are probably creating a document and you want to take screenshots of some applications that you are using, or let's say probably you are creating a step document or a process document and you want to refer to something that is there in a particular application that you are using. Rather than doing this back and forth business, you just keep that application as an active window. Just go into the insert tab, call that active window over here, and he just puts in the screenshot of it. You don't have to do anything else. So this is a very simple and an effective way of creating screenshots for your application. The next interesting thing that I want to talk to you is actually a new feature that Microsoft has added. So as you all know, I think there are a couple of chat messages. Okay. How good is the resolution of the screenshot? It is as good as the resolution of your screen. So let's say if your resolution, if your screen is set to full high definition, that is 1920 by 1080, the screenshot will be 1920 by 1080. If you are using a 4K screen like I am doing, the resolution will be 4K. So whatever resolution you have, that's the same thing that you will get. So it will be of very high quality. Okay. So the next one, like I was telling you, it's a very interesting feature that Microsoft offers. So as you all know, some time back, Microsoft acquired LinkedIn. So what they have done is they have integrated LinkedIn into Microsoft Word in a very interesting way. And this is especially useful for people who are trying to build their resumes. So let's say that you are trying to build a resume and you want to list your roles and responsibilities that you have done in your previous companies, and you don't know exactly how to phrase it, or let's say that you're not able to completely recall all of the things and all the areas that you have worked on. Because one of the things that happens is when we start typing out a resume, when we have like a complete blank document like this and we'll have to start, we are usually scratching our heads thinking, okay, so how do I list my responsibilities? Where are my responsibilities? What are some of the things that I have done? And what are some of the things that people in this area and this industry are doing? Am I doing those things? Right? We might get questions like this in our mind, and this is where LinkedIn integration has come in. So I will show you how to do that. So here, let me just close that. Yeah, under the review tab, you have this option called CV Assistant over here, the last one. So when I select that, there is this window that opens up. So you can see the LinkedIn logo over here. So what you can do is you can type in your role. Let's just say I'm a consultant. Let's say I'm a sales consultant. Let's say I'm a sales consultant, and I can select which industry I want. Let's say, okay. Let's say I'm in automation, machinery and manufacturing. So what it does, it scrambles through LinkedIn and finds information that are relevant to your skills. So it gives you a lot of options over here. Let's say you are a technical and sales consultant, sales. And so when you look at this, it will give you some text that you can use as a base. So let's say that this is more or less something that you have done, but you want to just change a few things that. So you can just take this up and add it to your resume. You just say like, just pick this up. 1 second. Yeah. So you can just pick whatever you like from here. Use this as an inspiration. So here you can see that there are a lot of things that are there. So you can use this as an inspiration and list like sort of the roles and responsibilities and the various tasks that you do in your current role and things like that. So this particular tool acts as a sort of an inspiration for you to better word your resume and better structure your resume, so that rather than just giving some set of 5 random bullet points that come to your head. Because what we typically do is when we create our profile, we immediately think, okay, so I've been doing this for the last 2 years, so I'm doing this. So we just list those 5 points and send it out. But if you want to word your resume in a very professional manner, it'll still be the same 5 points. But if you want to word it in a very professional manner and make it really attractive for the person who is reading your resume, you can get inspiration from this particular tool that's available in MS Word. So this is another very interesting feature. So people who are updating your resumes, there is something that's available in Word itself that you can use. Yes sir, that's a very powerful tool. And the next feature that I want to talk to you today is to protect your documents. So oftentimes we as professionals, we work on documents which are very very sensitive. Suppose let's say that I am creating a proposal for my client, right? What I do is I create a proposal, I secure the document, and I send it to them, and I give them the key to the document separately so that they are able to access it. So you can protect your document very easily. So again, in the same review tab, you have an option called protect document. So when you select that, you have two options over here. So you can set password for opening the document, and you can set password for modifying the document. So let's say that you have created a document and you want to send this document for your counterpart or to someone else for getting their agreement or getting their signature in the document. You will not want that person to make any modifications to the document, right? So let's say that you have created a contract and that contract is going to run for 40 pages, right? So if the person is going to sign and send that document back to you, you are not going to go through that 40 pages and check whether this person has made any changes. It's not possible to do. So what you can do is you can restrict a person from making modifications to the document that you have created. You just have to create a password for that, hit the save document, and you will be comfortable. I mean, when they try to make a modification, a small pop-up will come up asking them for the password. Obviously they won't know the password, so they will not be able to do that. And again, you can protect password, you can protect the document for track changes, for comments, making it read only. So you can create passwords like this as well. So there are a lot of features that can be done with this protect feature, so that whatever documents that you create, especially for documents that you are going to be using for signatures, it is very very helpful for maintaining the integrity of your documents. So these are some of the tools and techniques that I wanted to talk to you today. And as Mr. Indrajitu requested, I will show a quick demo of inserting graphs and things. So for that, you will have to go into charts. So go to the insert tab. Go to charts, and you can pick up whatever kind of chart that you want. So we will just pick up a simple bar chart. So just hit OK. Sorry, 1 second. One second. I think there's some issue with this. Give me a second. I'll probably open a fresh document. Give me a second. That's interesting. I don't know if there's something wrong with my Word. Mr. Indrajitu, I don't know. I think there is some issue with my copy of Word. Let me check this and I'll get
I
back to
will
you.
try, sir. I will try later, sir. I will contact, sir. Maybe you need not waste time on this.
No, no problem.
Sir,
I
I
will
will try.
I will create a separate video for this and I will share it with you, sir. Don't worry.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
I understand.
Most welcome. So these are some of the features that I wanted to talk to you today. Just a small list of things that will make your life much easier when it comes to working with Word. So any questions on the features that I just showed you?
Hi, Vaidhi. This is Monisha.
Hi Monisha, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Doing good. Long time.
Yeah, that's what I was about to tell you. Long time. Vaidhi, I have a doubt. Like, let's
Yes.
say if you have a Word document
Mm-hmm.
and you want to copy a few paragraphs from like 5 different pages. Page one, one paragraph, page two, one paragraph, page three, another one paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do I do it at one go? Is there any shortcut key or something wherein I can just use
Okay.
that and copy all of them at one go?
Okay, so this is actually there in the older versions of Microsoft Office Word, but
Okay.
in Office 365 that feature seems to be disabled. I'll have to check with Office. I mean, this is something that I've been struggling as well, but I know how to do it. So
Okay.
I will just quickly visually show you how, where it will be in your copy of Word so that you know how to do it. So
Okay.
what you'll have to do is, let's say, let me just put some text over here. Okay, we'll have some. So let's say that I want this particular portion, and this last sentence,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what you'll have to do is you'll have to select all three parts. Just select the first one, hit copy. Let's select the second piece that you want, hit again Control C, and the third one, hit Control C. So what typically happens is when you hit Control V, only the last thing comes up, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But if in the older versions of Microsoft Word, in this part over here at the top left,
Okay.
you will have a small icon over here which
Mm.
is called a launcher. It will be a
Oh,
small button below the space one. When you click this, you will have a, a sort of a panel appearing over here
okay.
containing a list of all the items that you have copied.
Okay.
So you can go to whichever part of the document, just select whichever item in that list you want to paste, just select that item, it will get pasted over here.
Okay. Okay. Fine. But
So that is called a clipboard manager.
okay.
The later, actually Office 365 had it, but the current version, it looks like it's not there. So I am sort of trying to figure out where it has gone. But
Okay.
but you will find it in this particular area over here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I got it.
Okay.
Thank you, Vaidhi.
You're most welcome. Okay. So will this recording be available? Yes, this session is recorded and the recording will be shared with you by mail. I'll either do it tonight or tomorrow morning. You will have a copy of the recording. Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Sir, I have a suggestion.
Yes, sir. Please tell me.
Sir, your session is wonderful, excellent. Maybe today only few people are there. Maybe some parallel session is going. Like, I
Hmm.
understand. Sir, you start with a song, end with a song. Everyday program. It will be interesting. I will tell you that many people will be joining, not for the MS word learning. Definitely listening to your song. You are expert in that area.
Definitely, sir. I will definitely do that in the
Sir,
upcoming session. I will
start
definitely
with the song.
sing. Yes, sir.
Some nice song at the beginning, then end also, because it will be enlightening for the people also, right?
Okay. Sure, sure. Okay.
Thank you, because I
Maybe
listen to that song.
maybe since you asked, I will probably sing a song now for everyone if you are interested.
Thank you, sir. Thank
I
you.
mean, let me first check if there are any questions. If there are no more questions, we can probably finish with a small song.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Most welcome. Any other questions? Okay. Okay, I'd like to know more about the CV, LinkedIn, and Word document. I can set up a meeting. Yes. Yes, Miss Jessie, please feel free to set up a meeting with me. You can reach out to me at these coordinates. So, people, if you don't have my email, this is my email. I'm just putting it on the chat window. And of course, there is a WhatsApp group for this Coffee with Vythee series. It's called the Copy Community. So you can join that WhatsApp group if you haven't done that already. If you have any questions, so I will be sharing that the recording of this session over there. You can go through the recording from there. If you have any further questions on whatever we have discussed, you can post those questions over there, and I'll be most happy to answer those questions. So I'm definitely available for you. If you have any questions after reviewing this recording and you want to reach out to me, please feel free to do. I will definitely respond to your questions. Weekdays it might be a little delayed, but weekends you will get much more swifter responses from me for sure. So that question on Copy Community, yes. So I will share the group link. Just give me a second. Let me pull it up from WhatsApp. Let me see, where are we? Okay. Okay, here's the link. Okay, let me paste that for everyone. So if you want to join this group, please feel free to join this group, and we can definitely continue the conversation. So if there are no more questions, I would like to honor Mr. Indrajitu's request, and we will conclude today's session with a very, very small song. So this song is a very favorite song of mine. It is dedicated to the beauty and the opulence of our motherland, India. It is set in the raga Darbari Kannada. So let me just quickly give a rendition of that. A second. दीन दया परिगे दीन दया परिगे जय जगन्मोहन वाणिनीये दीन दया परिगे வானுயர் ஹிமாச்சலம் வரை தென்பால் வாழ்வுன்னை கன்யாகுமரி நின்பால் வளரும் நினது பதமலரையாம் வேண்டினோம் போற்றினோம் பூஜித்தோம் தீனதயா பரியே மாகலையால் ஜயம் ஓங்க நிதமே மாநிதிய அருள்வாயல் வரமே மன்னோன்மணி மாஹேஸ்வரியே जनोत्पकार परार्परिये दीन दया परिये जय जगन्मोहन वाणिनीये दीन दया परिये दया परिये. So thank you once again for all of you joining me on this beautiful Saturday evening. So I look forward to seeing you all again in the next Coffee with Vythee edition, and I will keep you all posted on the topic we will come up with another interesting piece of tool or technology that we will be discussing in our next Coffee with Vythee session. So until then, keep your questions coming in. Let's keep the conversation going, and wishing you a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Vythee, for the
Thank you, sir.
great
Sir,
session.
thank you very much, sir.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Bye, and meet you in the next session.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye bye.